Time for some PFT props, and DeAndre Hopkins has an over-under of 1,124.5 receiving yards and 8.5 touchdowns. He's averaged 1,228 yards through 7 seasons. Which are you going on the over with? You always go over, though. You're going to go over on both, aren't you? Over 1,124.5 and over 8.5 touchdowns.
This is actually a tough one because this offense is going to be explosive. We still have Larry Fitzgerald. You have Christian Kirk. Like, there's going to be some competition for balls here. So I'll go, you know what? I'll go over yards, under touchdowns.
Wow. I think definitely over on the yards because I think Murray is going to realize that there's a reason why Hopkins was as good as he was in Houston. There's a reason he's had 1,228 yards on average per year. I'll agree with you under the touchdowns. Too many weapons in that offense between Kenyon Drake, between Kyler Murray maybe running it in himself, Larry Fitzgerald, Christian Kirk, Andy Isabella. I think that is a legitimate concern. All right. Ravens, over under 11.5 wins. The folks at William Hill said that 75% of the betting is coming in on the under for the Ravens, even though they were 14-2 last year. Where are you on the Ravens win total?
You know, I would definitely under regular circumstances take the under just because I'm a big believer in, regression and teams always getting that, big bullseye where, hey, last year they kind of surprised a few teams for maybe not surprising that they were good, but surprising how good they were. The only reason I'm going to go over, Mike, is the defense of Lamar Jackson, trying to figure out how to defend him. You know what doesn't help? Doing all your defensive installs on Zoom. You know what doesn't help? Not being able to, have a full training camp. Maybe they will have full training camp, but all these things add up. And I think looking at teams that have the same quarterback and the same coach and the same offense from last year, they will always have a leg up going into this season versus the teams with new quarterback, new coach, new offense, whatever it may be. Pick one of the three. So I'm going to take over on the Baltimore Ravens wins.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. When we see a guy take the league by storm,
don't be surprised. I made a good point.
It is a little bit of a surprise, but we see defensive coordinators obsess over coming up with a way to stop it. I remember when the read option was a big deal, and how do we stop it? And yeah, you have a chance to sit in meeting rooms together and really have meaningful discussions and take it out to the practice field and try different things. And it's harder to collaborate now than it is in a normal year. So, yeah, I'm going to agree with you that Lamar Jackson is still going to have a huge gap between himself and everyone else. I'll go over on 11.5 wins. It doesn't mean they're going to be 14-2, but I think they'll at least be 12-4. Rams also under 8.5 wins is the primary bet that William Hill is seeing. 83% of the people are taking under 8.5. Where are you on the Rams, over under 8.5 wins?
I'll go over with this one. I'm a believer in Sean McVay. I just think that, just like you would bet against a team that overachieves one year and then regresses, I think the Rams underachieved last year, and they had that Super Bowl hangover last year, which definitely plays a factor. So I will take the over. I think they're a 9 or a 10 win team just because Sean McVay's that good. Like, Sean McVay will find a way. I think you'll see somewhere down the line, in 20, 30 years, Sean McVay have a similar, he's not going to win 6 Lombardis like Bill Belichick, but a similar sense of doesn't really matter who's on the roster. He will always put a competitive team out there, and they will always be, at worst, around 500.
This is the test this year. They've done some bad contracts. They've made some bad business decisions. They don't have Todd Gurley. They traded away Brandon Cooks. They have to figure out what they're going to do with Jalen Ramsey. Are they going to pay him, and they're not going to pay him? I feel like this is a crossroads year for the Rams, and if they are good, it's going to be because of McVay. I still don't believe in Jared Goff, and if he doesn't have Todd Gurley with him at a high level of performance, I just don't think it's going to work. I'm going to go under, especially in that division with the Cardinals, the Seahawks, and the 49ers playing them twice per year. All right, how about this one from the Coach of the Year props? There are 4 Matts who are plus 3,000, meaning you bet 100 and they become Coach of the Year, you win $3,000. Matt LaFleur of the Packers, Matt Nagy of the Bears, Matt Patricia of the Lions, Matt Rule of the Panthers. Which of those Matts would you take as a long shot at plus 3,000 to be Coach of the Year?
All right, I'm biased. obviously, to Matt Nagy, and I actually think that that would be the most compelling case. Wouldn't you say that that in terms of what are you going to get to be coach of the year? You have to get to the playoffs, right? And to be coach of the year, you really have to get to the playoffs after a year you didn't make the playoffs. So cross the floor out there. Matt Rule, while I think he's going to be a good coach in the NFL, that team has a full rebuild that's going on right now. And Matt Patricia, who would you take, the Lions or the Bears, to get to the playoffs this next year?
Well, and here's the thing, and Nagy was the coach of the year in 2018, and the reason he was coach of the year in 2018 is his team exceeded the generally accepted expectations for that team by the biggest margin. So I think to best position this, we have to gauge what are the expectations for each team. And I agree with you on LaFleur, even though there's kind of a sense that they may be on the front end of some dysfunction. If they make it to the playoffs, everybody's going to say, yeah, they were supposed to make it to the playoffs. They have Aaron Rodgers. It's going to be hard for Matt LaFleur unless they go like 16-0 or 15-1. I think it comes down to Patricia or Rule because those are the two teams with the lowest expectations. And if the Panthers go 9-7 and become the 7th seed in the NFC, hey, look at what Matt Rule did. First year as an NFL coach, he had a cup of coffee with the Giants as an assistant offensive line coach. He came in with no offseason program. Give it to Matt Rule. So I think it comes down to Patricia or Rule, and it won't surprise me if it's Matt Rule. So
I don't see them winning that enough games. And also just to throw it out there, Mike, the coach of the year, just looking through it, always wins double-digit games. The only time it didn't happen was when Bruce Arians won it, filling in for Chuck Pagano with 9-3 record in 2012. So 9-7 won't get it for you. Jimmy Johnson was the last guy who actually won it 1990 with, tell me the record, the Dallas Cowboys. Jimmy Johnson won Coach of the Year with this record, Mike.
I don't know, 9-7, 8-8,
7-9, 7-9.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm just looking at the history. You have to win double-digit games to win Coach of the Year.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.